The gunshot cracked through the afternoon air like thunder on a clear day. In that frozen moment, Alex threw his body forward, shielding Senator Marcus Hale from the assassin's bullet, the impact slamming into his right leg and sending waves of agony through him as he collapsed onto the rally stage in downtown Chicago. Chaos erupted around them, screams filling the humid summer air as security swarmed the platform. But all Alex could focus on was Marcus's face hovering above him, pale, with raw fear, his hand gripping Alex's shirt like a lifeline. "Alex, stay with me, please," Marcus whispered, his voice breaking as paramedics rushed in, lights flashing everywhere. That was the last time Alex saw him clearly before the surgery that took his leg below the knee, forever changing everything he thought he knew about love and sacrifice. Weeks later, in the sterile hospital room on the 8th floor of Northwestern Memorial, Alex stared at the empty space where his leg had been, the phantom pain still shooting through nerves that no longer existed. Marcus had come every single day, at first holding his hand, talking about the future they had whispered about in secret hotel rooms and late-night drives along Lake Michigan. They had been together for 4 years, hidden from the world, because Marcus's rising career in Illinois politics demanded it. No scandals, no photos, no truth. Alex, a former Marine turned private security consultant, had accepted the rules, loving Marcus enough to stay in the shadows. But now, with the injuries splashed across every news channel as heroic bystander saves senator, the whispers had started. Campaign advisors slipped in and out of the room, eyes avoiding Alex's. Marcus's family from their old money Chicago suburb called constantly, reminding him of the upcoming re-election and the conservative donors who would bolt at any hint of a gay relationship. One rainy Tuesday night, after the nurses left, Alex sat alone, watching the city lights blur through the window. Marcus had just left after a tense visit where he kept checking his phone, glancing toward the door. "We have to be careful, Alex. The press is everywhere, and my team says any leak now could end it all," he had said gently, but the words landed like another bullet. Alex knew what it meant. He would be the liability, the one-legged boyfriend, dragging Marcus down the path to the Senate floor he had fought so hard to reach. The next morning before dawn, Alex packed his few belongings into a duffel bag, left a short note on the bedside table that simply read, "I love you enough to let you fly without me," and slipped out of the hospital into the cool Chicago morning. He caught a bus to the airport, bought a one-way ticket to upstate New York with the settlement money from the incident, and vanished, determined to rebuild alone, even if every step without Marcus felt like walking on broken glass. The small town of Willow Creek, nestled in the rolling hills outside Albany, welcomed Alex with the kind of quiet indifference he craved. He had distant cousins there from his mother's side, and the community center needed someone to teach basic woodworking to local kids. With his savings and a prosthetic fitted at a VA clinic in Albany, Alex bought a modest cabin on the edge of the woods, the kind with a wide porch where he could sit at night and listen to the crickets instead of city sirens. Learning to walk again became his private, wore the stump sore and swollen, the prosthetic rubbing raw spots that made him grit his teeth through physical therapy sessions 3 times a week. He threw himself into the work, sanding wood, teaching teenagers how to build birdhouses and bookshelves, finding small victories in every finished piece. But nights were the hardest. Memories of Marcus flooded in. Their first meeting at a veterans fundraiser, where Marcus had shaken his hand a little too long, their stolen weekends in a cabin up north where they cooked pasta and talked about everything except politics. Alex wondered if Marcus had even noticed the note, or if the campaign machine had simply moved on. His phone stayed off for weeks, until one evening his father called from their old house in Michigan, the conversation short and sharp. "Heard about the leg, son. Maybe this is God's way of telling you to settle down with a nice girl instead of chasing shadows," his dad said, voice thick with the same disapproval that had greeted Alex's coming out at 19. Alex hung up heart heavy, realizing that even here the world still demanded he hide parts of himself. He joined a small support group at the Community Center for Veterans and People with Disabilities, meeting a kind woman named Sarah who ran it and a quiet guy named Jordan who had lost an arm in Afghanistan. They shared stories over coffee, no judgment, just understanding, and for the first time in months, Alex felt a flicker of belonging. Still, the ache for Marcus never left the empty side of the bed, a constant reminder of the choice he had made to protect the man he loved by disappearing completely. The days turned into months, and Alex's new life in Willow Creek began to take shape one careful step at a time. Mornings started with coffee on the porch, watching the mist rise off the lake while he practiced walking the prosthetic, now feeling less like a foreign object and more like part of him. The community center became his anchor, the kids' laughter filling the gaps where doubt used to live. Jordan from the support group became a close friend, the two of them bonding over bad jokes about phantom limbs and late-night talks about the families that never quite understood. You ever think about reaching out to that guy you mentioned? Jordan asked one evening as they repaired a fence behind the center. Alex shook his head, the note he had left from Marcus flashing in his mind. "He's got a whole world I don't fit into anymore," he replied, voice steady, even as his chest tightened. Back in Chicago, Marcus Hale had thrown himself into the campaign trail, the attack, and Alex's sacrifice fueling a sympathy wave that propelled him to victory in the special election for the U.S. Senate seat. He stood on stages across Illinois, shaking hands, smiling for cameras, but every night in his empty apartment, the guilt clawed at him. He had searched the hospital record, called every contact, but Alex had erased his tracks like a ghost. The note still sat in his desk drawer, the words burning every time he read them. "I love you enough to let you fly without me." Marcus had replayed their last conversations, wondering if his careful words about caution had pushed Alex away. His own family pushed harder, now urging him to date the daughter of a major donor, a polished woman named Claire who smiled perfectly for photos. "It's just optics, Marcus. The voters need to see stability," his mother said over Sunday brunch. He went along with the appearances, the dinners, the charity galas, but every time Claire reached for his hand, he felt nothing but the hollow space where Alex should have been. One crisp autumn afternoon, Marcus hired a private investigator, quietly slipping the man a photo of Alex from their secret days. "Find him no matter what it costs," he ordered, voice low, in the back of his town car. The search began in Chicago, expanded in neighboring states, but leads dried up fast. Meanwhile, the Senate demanded his focus votes on health care bills, late-night sessions, where he fought for veterans' benefits, secretly thinking of Alex every time. He threw fundraisers for disability rights organizations, speaking passionately about resilience, while inside he crumbled. Friend from his law school days noticed the change, teasing him about the mystery man who had saved his life, but Marcus never corrected them, never admitted the truth that the hero was the love of his life, now gone. In Willow Creek, Alex faced his own battles when a local newspaper ran a small story about the hero from the Chicago rally, living quietly in town. Whispers started at the grocery store stairs from neighbors who suddenly knew his past. His father called again, this time angrier. "You're making us look like fools with all that gay stuff, and now this leg business people are talking." Alex hung up, hands shaking, but instead of retreating, he volunteered at the town's Pride Planning Committee, small as it was, helping organize a modest festival in the park. There he met more people like him, men and women who had hidden for years and now chose visibility. For the first time, he spoke openly about his injury, not as a tragedy, but as the price of protecting someone worth everything. The growth felt slow but real, his confidence returning in pieces, until one night he looked in a mirror and saw not just the man who had lost a leg, but the one who had survived. Winter settled over Willow Creek, blanketing the cabin in snow that muffled the world and gave Alex space to breathe. He spent long evenings by the fireplace, carving a wooden eagle for the community center's holiday auction, the repetitive motion soothing the restlessness that still lingered. Jordan invited him to a weekend gathering at a nearby lake house where a group of LGBT veterans shared stories around a bonfire. Listening to their journeys of coming home changed Alex, realized his own sacrifice wasn't unique. Many had walked away from love to spare their partner's pain. Yet the emptiness remained a quiet ache that no amount of snow or woodworking could fill. He started writing letters to Marcus, never sending them, pouring out the truth about why he left, the fear of becoming a burden, the love that still burned bright. The stack grew in a drawer hidden like their relationship once was. In Washington, D.C., Senator Marcus Hale navigated the marble halls of the Capitol with practiced ease, his name now attached to a major veterans health care bill that passed with bipartisan support. The press loved the narrative of the young senator who had survived an assassination attempt thanks to a brave stranger. Marcus smiled through interviews, but inside the search consumed him. The private investigator had traced Alex to Albany, then lost the trail again. Marcus used every discreet connection, pulling strings with old military contacts, checking VA records without raising flags. Late nights in his Georgetown townhouse, he stared at old photos on his phone, the ones taken in secret during their trips to the Wisconsin Dells, smiling faces frozen in time. Claire, the woman his family pushed, continued appearing at events, her hand on his arm for cameras, but Marcus ended the charade one evening, telling her gently that his heart belonged elsewhere. The backlash from his mother came, swift accusations of selfishness, but Marcus stood firm for the first time, feeling the weight of his own identity pressing down. A misunderstanding fueled the distance further when Marcus's investigator finally got a lead on a man matching Alex's description in Willow Creek, only for a leaked photo to surface online showing Marcus at a gala with Claire. Alex saw the image on a borrowed laptop at the community center, his stomach twisting as he assumed Marcus had moved on completely. "He's living the life I saved him for," Alex muttered to Jordan over beers that night, deciding to bury the letters deeper and focus on the life he had built. He started dating casually a kind local teacher named Liam who understood the prosthetic and the silences, but the connection lacked the fire he once knew with Marcus. Still, it helped him heal, teaching him that love could exist beyond pain. Marcus, on the other hand, received the same photo from a campaign aide who meant well and felt the knife twist deeper, convinced Alex had chosen to disappear because he no longer cared. The senator threw himself harder into work passing legislation for disability rights, speaking on the Senate floor with passion that moved colleagues to tears. Behind closed doors, he hired more investigators, expanding the search to every state bordering New York. Family pressure mounted, his sister visiting D.C. to plead, "Marcus, the party needs a family man image or your career stalls." He listened politely, then showed her out, locking the door and pulling out the unsent letters he had written to Alex over the months, confessing his regrets, his love, his fear of living half a life without him. The search became his quiet obsession, driving him across the country on fact-finding trips that were really leads on Alex's whereabouts. Spring arrived in Willow Creek with blooming dogwoods and renewed energy at the community center where Alex organized a woodworking workshop for disabled veterans from across the state. The event drew a small crowd, including a reporter from Albany who wanted to profile the unsung hero from the Chicago rally. Alex declined politely, keeping his past private, but the attention stirred old memories, forcing him to confront how far he had come. His prosthetic now felt natural. He ran short distances in the park and mentored teenagers who faced their own family rejections. Jordan introduced him to a therapist in town who specialized in trauma and identity, helping Alex unpack the guilt that had driven him away from Marcus. Sacrifice is noble, but running doesn't always protect the people we love. It can hurt them too, the therapist said gently during one session, planting seeds of doubt in Alex's decision. Marcus, meanwhile, faced a crisis in the Senate when a rival leaked rumors of his secret personal life, forcing him into damage control. He called a private press conference, denying nothing, but revealing just enough to quiet the storm, admitting he had loved someone who saved his life and lost everything doing it. The statement went viral, humanizing him and earning respect from unexpected quarters, including LGBT advocacy groups. Emboldened, Marcus doubled down on the search, flying to Albany himself under the guise of a veterans event. He walked the streets, showing Alex's photo to shopkeepers and bartenders, coming close enough to Willow Creek that Alex's friends whispered about the tall stranger asking questions. One evening, Marcus sat in a diner near the lake, staring at his phone, debating whether to drive the last 20 miles when his chief of staff called with an urgent vote, pulling him back to D.C. The misunderstanding deepened when Alex overheard customers at the hardware store talking about the senator's recent visit and the mysterious boyfriend rumor. Convinced Marcus was only searching out of political obligation, Alex threw himself into a new project, building adaptive furniture for local veterans, his hands busy but his heart guarded. He confided in Liam about the past, the love, the loss, and Liam encouraged him to consider closure. You deserve to know if he still cares. Alex nodded, but fear kept him rooted, the thought of rejection too heavy after everything he had rebuilt. Family tensions eased slightly when his mother called, secretly apologizing for his father's harsh words and admitting she missed her son. Small steps toward acceptance mirrored Alex's internal growth, teaching him that identity wasn't something to hide, but to claim proudly, even with the scars. Back in Washington, Marcus received a breakthrough tip from the investigator at a community center in Willow Creek, where a man matching Alex's description taught woodworking. Heart-pounding, Marcus cleared his schedule for the following weekend, determined to confront the ghost that haunted him. He rehearsed speeches in his head, practicing the words that would bridge the years, the apology, the truth that his career meant nothing without the man who had given everything to save it. The flight to Albany felt endless, every mile closing the gap between the life he had protected and the love he had lost. Summer heat wrapped Willow Creek in a humid embrace as Alex prepared for the town's annual Festival, the Pride event he had helped organize, growing bigger than expected with vendors and live music drawing people from neighboring counties. He stood on the porch of the community center hanging rainbow banners when a familiar voice cut through the chatter, stopping him cold. Marcus stepped out of a black SUV, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down, looking older, sharper, but with the same eyes that once held Alex's entire world. "Alex," Marcus said, voice cracking as he crossed the grass, closing the distance in long strides. The world narrowed to just the two of them, the festival noise fading as years of separation hung between them like fog. They walked to the lake shore, away from curious eyes, sitting on a weathered bench, where Alex finally spoke the words he had practiced in countless unsent letters. "I left because I couldn't be the weight that dragged you down, Marcus. Your career, your family, everything you built, I protected it by disappearing." Marcus listened, tears welling as he shared his own side, the empty nights, the searches, the political mask that never fit. "You were never a burden, you were my reason for everything," he confessed, reaching for Alex's hand, the touch electric after so long. Misunderstandings unraveled the photo with Claire, the leaked rumors, the fear that had kept them apart. Hours passed as they talked through the pain, the growth, the sacrifices, revealing how each had changed. Marcus more open about his identity, Alex stronger in his independence. The conversation stretched into evening, revealing deeper truths. Marcus had come out quietly to his inner circle, preparing to live authentically regardless of polls. Alex admitted the dating and the new life, but confessed no one compared to the bond they shared. Family pressures surfaced again when Marcus's phone buzzed with calls from his mother, but he silenced it, choosing the moment over obligation. As stars appeared over the lake, they walked back toward town, hands brushing the first real connection in years, tentative yet full of promise. The festival lights twinkled in the distance, symbolizing the community Alex had found and the one Marcus now wanted to join. That night, they sat on Alex's porch talking until dawn, the conversation a bridge over the chasm of lost time, proving that love could survive separation if both sides chose to rebuild. The weeks that followed brought a careful rebuilding as Marcus divided his time between D.C. and Willow Creek, flying back on weekends to help at the community center and simply be present. Alex introduced him to Jordan and the support group, watching with quiet pride as Marcus listened to stories of struggle and resilience, adding his own voice for the first time publicly. The senator advocated for expanded disability benefits on the Senate floor, naming the bill after the unsung heroes who saved lives and then disappeared into silence, a subtle nod to their story. Family tensions eased when Marcus brought Alex to a quiet dinner in Chicago, his mother's initial shock giving way to reluctant acceptance after seeing the genuine love between them. Alex's own father remained distant, but his mother visited Willow Creek, embracing the man her son had chosen. Challenges tested them, a tabloid story nearly exposing everything, forcing Marcus to hold a press conference where he stood tall beside Alex, declaring, "Love isn't a liability, it's the reason I fight every day." The backlash came swift, but so did the support from voters and colleagues, proving that authenticity could strengthen rather than destroy a career. Alex continued his work at the center, his prosthetic, now a badge of survival, as he mentored others facing similar journeys. Together, they faced the world no longer hidden, but united, the sacrifice that once separated them, now the foundation of something stronger. Evenings on the porch became ritual where they planned a future balance between public service and private peace, perhaps a shared home in Willow Creek or advocacy trips across the country. Through every decision, the growth shone clear, Alex learning that protection didn't mean disappearance, and Marcus realizing ambition without love was hollow. Their bond deepened through small acts, Marcus helping sand wood at the center, Alex attending Senate hearings, offering quiet support. The misunderstandings that once tore them apart became lessons in communication, the betrayals of fear replaced by trust earned through honesty. As fall colors returned to the hills, they stood together at the lake, where their reunion began, hands clasped, watching the water reflect the life they had chosen to build side by side. True or false? Sometimes walking away after a profound sacrifice is the ultimate proof of love, even if it breaks both hearts.